saw something the other day, and I thought this would be pretty cool to kind of maybe look into a little bit, and maybe question you guys a little bit on your thoughts on what this would be. So, um, what do you guys think the like top 10 foods mentioned in the Bible would be? Like let's start with number 1. Like what do you think the most mentioned food in the Bible would be?
Bread.
I'll go with meat.
Milk.
Jonathan got man.
Oh, we're not going. Oh, sorry.
So bread is number 1.
Yeah. Well, I had to pick something because you already picked bread, so I was like, all right, I'll go with meat.
Well, you could pick the same thing. I don't care.
I thought it was a competition, man. Come on.
And then number 2 would be beef. And so you said meat, so I'll just go ahead and get the meat out of the way. So the beef is number 2, lamb is number 3, and then goat is number 5.
Yeah.
So what do y'all think number 4? The number 4 most mentioned food is?
Your veggies? Plants? Veggies?
No.
Milk.
We got to get a little more specific. No. Milk, raw milk is number 8.
Okay.
On the list. Oh. Number 4 is actually olive oil.
Is that a kind of food?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I don't think nobody eats olive oil, but I'll go with it.
Yeah, I don't have a tall glass of olive oil next to me at my desk.
Why wouldn't you?
Why would I?
Yeah. Why? Look, don't tell me you haven't ever taken some bread and sopped up some olive oil.
Sopped up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
So what else we got?
All right, number 6. What do you think?
Is that anything I already mentioned?
Grapes.
No, they didn't even make the top 10 list.
That's not accurate with all the wine. Come on.
Well, grape being specific here.
Okay, is wine on the list?
Wine is not on the list, actually.
Right. Honey?
Honey, yes.
All right.
Honey's
So it's
number
got to be
6.
one of those.
All right, number 7.
Let's see what else. Pomegranate?
Nope.
Almond?
Joe?
Salt?
Salt is number 9, believe it or not. Yeah.
That counts as food.
Yeah.
So number 7
you
is...
eat the salt, so I guess you can count as food.
All right.
Number 7 is figs.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we got one left. One left. What is it?
The scroll. Whoever had to eat the scroll.
Too funny. Joe, what you got?
I have no idea. Herbs.
Come on, man. I feel like y'all are giving up on me here. No, what you got? What you got? Number 10.
Oats?
No. It was used to feed
Fish?
a lot of people. There you go.
Oh, I'm surprised. Yeah.
Yep. So, the list is in order.
Well, you did say meats earlier, and then you didn't include it. So
I know, but I didn't do that intentionally just because fish generally is not grouped in with meat for some reason.
All right.
I don't know why, but
yeah, I counted it out after that.
So bread, beef, lamb, olive oil, goat, honey, figs, milk, salt, and fish.
That sounds like a good meal. Mix all that together.
Right, that sounds really good. So, when I heard that, I don't know. I had something. I had some things that kind of popped up in my head a little bit about offerings, and that I didn't remember the verse exactly the way it was written, so I had to go back and look into it. But you guys familiar with that verse that talks about salting every offering?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think that's referring to? I mean, is it self-explanatory? Does that literally mean every offering?
Probably. Well, I guess you got to get into that long conversation of like what's offering and what's burnt offering, and then like like you're not gonna salt 2 turtle doves when you're like dipping the blood or whatever. It's like I don't know. I'm guessing you
Well,
wouldn't.
with the salt offerings you're referring to, I think Leviticus 2:13. With all
Leviticus
your offerings
2:13.
you shall offer salt. And so
Mhm.
the offerings that this is going to apply to is going to be burnt offerings, grain offerings, peace offerings, sin
Well,
offerings, and priestly offerings.
okay, so let me ask you. So that's what I wanted to clarify, because in this context of what's being discussed, where it actually does say in 2:13, it says to with all your offerings you shall offer salt. The context of what's specifically being referred to here is grain offerings.
Mm.
Um, do you know of anywhere else in Scripture where it says that? Because again, this particular context is talking about grain offerings. Even in 13 itself, it says, you shall season all your grain offerings with salt. You shall not let the salt of the covenant with your God be missing from your grain offering. Semicolon. Um, with all your offerings, you shall offer salt. So it's kind of like a doubling down of what was just said,
Mm.
rather than a different thing, right? So it's not to include all offerings. That's the way I'm reading it now.
So
But
how
this
would
is
that look to
specific
you?
to a
Like
grain offering.
this hand is the grain offering and this hand is the salt offering, and you're like, here's the two things, or
Well,
is
I
it
mean, well,
one thing?
it talks about how to make the offering and that sort of thing, right? If you offer a grain offering of first fruits to the Lord, you shall offer for the grain offering of your first fruits fresh ears roasted with fire, crushed new grain, and you shall put oil on it and lay frankincense on it. Uh, and it is a grain offering. So I'm guessing just sprinkle some salt on it or whatever, and olive oil does its thing, to hold the salt there, I guess. But then the other versions of that would be um, crushed grain. Then the another version of that would be like unleavened bread type thing, and obviously we want some salt in our bread, right? But so before I looked this up, my understanding was that this was an every offering kind of thing. And so I got to thinking, and I'm like, how my brain works. It does weird stuff, right? So I'm like, okay, well we've got wine offerings,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm like, we're gonna put some salt in our wine, get in there, right? And then I got to thinking about that. I was like, well, even though that sounds silly to do that, what does salt do? Salt is loaded with minerals. It helps you hydrate. What does alcohol do? It dehydrates you. So it's counteractive to what the wine would do if that were the case. Anyway, my brain was going all over the place with that. And I'm like, do we really salt everything? But I don't think that's what it's saying now. I just wanted to see what y'all's thoughts were, because I don't know of anywhere else where it says we're to salt everything or salt every offering. It's just specific to the context of the grain offering, to my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
What say you boys?
Well, one of the things we've talked about before, it's been many episodes back. I'm pretty sure it was us that talked about it, about how salt had many, excuse me, salt has many functions to it. One of those is, with purity,
Mm,
with fighting of bacteria, different things like that. So I can understand. I'm not convinced yet that the salt wasn't used for the other ones as well, with the other offerings, only because when you're dealing with meats and you're dealing with animals being slaughtered, you're dealing with a lot of different elements. The salt to me would help that to with impurities
yeah, well,
at that time.
I guess what I'm saying is, no, I agree that yes, there would have been salt used in a lot of the offerings. But I guess what I'm asking is, does it truly mean to salt every offering, or just those offerings that require salt? Or is that particular place where it said, is that referring to only the bread offering? Meaning other offerings might require salt as well, but with every grain offering there must be salt.
Right.
Like, is there any instance that we have the wood offering,
Yeah.
Are we salting wood?
It's a good question. We have to go back and look at that.
Right, and then
But we are talking about food right now, though. We're not talking about wood.
no, I'm
So
referring to the context of that statement of salting every offering. It does salt every offering mean specific offerings, or does it mean every offering? Because every offering would include things like wood
Well, this
and
one,
wine.
this version I'm reading here out of the ESV says, "You shall season all your grain offerings with salt." So literally, is like put the salt on the whatever you're making. But then it says,
Mhm.
"You shall not let the salt of the covenant with your God be missing from your grain offering." So definitely with the grain offering twice there. With all your offerings, you shall offer salt. So I'm thinking when it says all there, it's referring to all the grain offerings. It's like kind of going back to like anytime there's a grain situation, all of those need salt.
That's what I got out of it.
Because yeah, when you start to try to apply it across the board to everything, there's so many different things going on in so many different places and times. It seems like it's you're essentially making heavenly saltine crackers. So I'm thinking it's more or less down that road. And then what I find interesting about it, I don't know if you guys have heard or talked about it all, the salt covenant, and it actually mentioned that there in that verse where it said salt of the covenant, and there's two other references to that I have directly from Second Chronicles and Numbers, where it talks about it is a covenant of salt forever between the Lord and you, and your offspring with you. So I wonder if it's I like there's a lot of type and shadow things, a lot of picture symbolism. So it's like you're going to be doing bread offering all the time, like right every
Right.
day there's new show bread. Every day there's some kind of grain offering. Pretty much that's the one that's like guaranteed.
Daily bread.
um and that's like, yeah, exactly. So every day you're kind of, it's like that covenant between the father and the
Mm,
salt's like a picture of that. So then I just kind of, like you're not all the time having Sukkot or tabernacles, you're not all the time having Passover, but you're all the time having bread. So, and even if when you're not having bread, you're having unleavened bread. So you're having some kind of bread. And I wonder if it's just like a daily reminder, like a 365, 364, 360 something of, your covenant with the Father. If you're doing grain and you're doing salt,
I
and the
really
salt's
like that.
the
I
covenant
really
part.
like that. Yeah, man, that's really, really cool. Like, I mean, we're supposed to be a kingdom of priests, right? And we're practicing for that, right? So, yeah, we should be um, kind of renewing that covenant each day, I would assume. Like, that's really cool to think about that in our daily practices and our worship and our service for the Most High. That's really cool.
Well, and it also, the reason why I kind of bring that up is, when we are reading Leviticus, it's very Levitical. So it's speaking to the priest of
Right.
their job and their responsibilities. Now they apply
Mm,
overarching for the nation and for all the people in covenant, with the grafted in and all that. But when it's speaking to them directly in their role as a priest job, saying you make sure you salt all the offerings. So I wouldn't even be surprised if there is salt there and it's their job to make sure that everything is salted, that everything is then made covenant approved.
right. By the way, real real quick, if y'all see me wincing, and the reason why I'm looking down here at my computer versus up here where the camera is, I got some neck damage going on right now, and if I move the wrong way, it hits real hard. So yeah,
Yeah, he had a night of being a little too sassy.
yeah. Eve had to put me in check, you know. No, I'm just kidding.
He's like, nah, oh my gosh.
Oh man, too
Well, while we're
funny.
having this brief intermission, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Would you rather have, if you're going into battle, 5 grenades or a bow and arrow with 50 arrows?
Hmm.
It's been hotly debated in my mind all day.
I guess that depends on the location of the enemies. If they're all in one spot, I like the grenade idea. And within throwing range.
Right. But you only got 5, so you got to make them count. You got 50
Yeah.
arrows.
Look, if they're all together, I think I can do pretty good with 5 grenades. Throw a
What?
couple to the outside, one to the middle. wait to see where the stragglers go if there are any, and finish them up with the last two.
Yeah, and alert everybody that you're there with loud grenade
Right. That's what I
explosions.
was thinking too. Is like
All
it
50
depends
of
on
them
the
don't be done.
situation. Now, if they already know you're there, yeah, load them up.
What a question.
And
Yeah.
some people might say, "Well, I'll pick the 50 arrows," but it's like, have you ever shot a bow and arrow? How good are
Right.
you?
Yeah.
Because
Everybody can use a grenade.
yeah.
Well, have you seen some of those military training videos?
Yeah, my
Oh,
buddy was in the army in basic training, said that there was a fellow there that should not have been there.
There's
He was
always
just,
one.
I mean, like, yeah, the term they used back then, I don't know if they still use it or not, but he was eating up like a soup sandwich. And
oh.
he said the guy was just very weak, very just should not have been in the army. And when they were doing the grenades, and there's a wall there, of course, and the instructor's there with you. And you're supposed to throw it. There's a certain technique you use when you're throwing a grenade and all that stuff. And they said this fella barely, when he threw it, he barely got it over the wall. It landed right on the other side of the wall. And so, yeah, so everybody's hitting the ground, and these are live grenades. So yeah, the whole ground shook and everything else. And I don't think the guy ended up making it all the way through graduation. But that's
Oh,
kind of scary though. You're in training and someone's
Mhm.
like, definitely don't want you out there with me in battle, and you can't throw it, over the wall 10 feet.
Oh yeah. No, we had a guy when I was in basic that we were doing target practice, shooting guns, and we had like 24 was the total if you hit them all, and he hit 0.
Wow.
how?
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, by accident, you should be able to hit one. Just aim at the paper
Or at least hit your
somewhere.
buddies next to you, somebody's.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah. After that, I was like, if there's ever a foxhole, I don't want to be in yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't know.
I
I
was
don't
like,
know how
dude,
that's
just
possible.
point the two things, put your eyeball through the two things, and aim it forward. You're fine.
Right. Okay. Back to it.
Yeah.
Back to it.
Yeah. What you got, Joe?
I'm just trying to look up some different scriptures that talks about the offering. See, we got Second Chronicles 13, 5. Let's see.
I can hear you, but your video's frozen up on me.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Sorry, this is a good face.
Yeah. At least he's not stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just for the Second Chronicles 13:5. Is speaking. It says, "Do you not know that Yahuwah Elohim of Israel has given the reign over to Israel to David forever, to him and his sons by a covenant of salt?" And so that's one. And then the other one was Ezekiel 43:24. 43:24. And that one says, "And you shall bring them before Yahuwah, and the priest shall throw salt on them and offer them up as an ascending offering to Yahuwah." I need to read further into the context of who them are. Okay, I think maybe this is it. It says, "On the second day you bring a male goat and a perfect one for a sin offering. They shall cleanse the slaughter place as they cleanse it with the bull." Oh, I'm sorry. As they cleansed it with the bull. "When you have ended cleansing it, bring a young bull, a perfect one, and a ram from the flock, a perfect one, and you shall bring them before Yahweh, and the priest shall throw salt on them." So here we have a ram and a bull, and as an offering as an ascending offering to Yahweh. It goes on to say, talk about bringing a 25 says, "Prepare a goat for sin offering daily for 7 days. Prepare a young bull and a ram for the flock, perfect ones." Yep. So it does say that one part in there about throwing the, looks like throwing the salt on the ram and the young bull. So anyway,
Hmm.
just looking up some other references real quick.
Right.
Um, Numbers 18:19. Let's see. 18:19 says, and all the contributions of the set apart gifts which the children of Israel present to Yahuwah, I shall I have given to you and your sons and daughters with you as a law forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before Yahuwah with you and your seed with you. I believe he's speaking to, yep, people, or speaking to. I need to go back and look at it in context. Who's exactly speaking? It might be for the high priest for that one.
So what is this covenant of salt?
That's what I was thinking. Like when you look at when you at least for me when I think about salt, it's of like very important. Like we're called as believers to be salt and light.
Mhm.
So there's like a cool reference there of like it's not going away and it's of the utmost importance. And then like don't lose your saltiness or you just become dirt. Just throw you in the street and step on it, right? It's no has zero value. It makes me wonder, like,
It was used for money at one point too.
right,
Oh
exactly,
yeah, very very
and
valuable. Valuable.
across the spectrum of creation, right? Water was like the first thing created. You know what I mean? Like, or like right at the beginning, it was like the spirit hovered over the water. So whatever that was like it was
Right.
water. And even today, 60, 70, however many percentages of the earth is salt water. And so it just kind of makes you wonder, like, salt's been like the most consistently available mineral or whatever, like forever. I mean, we probably have more salt on the earth than anything else if you really think about it. And it's
Hmm.
like ever it doesn't end, right? There's you can't like unsalt the ocean, or you can't like use all the salt till it's gone. I don't know how that works, but salt's sick forever. So it just makes me wonder, like, is that the father's always trying to use pictures and imagery for human understanding, right? Because we're not saying that we're dumb, but you know, compared to his brain, we're dumb. So,
Right.
um, he uses things that can help us to understand, like, oh, the salt is always here and it's always useful and always intentional with purpose. And so he's like, well, this covenant isn't the rainbow that only happened because of the flood. This covenant of salt is day one to day forever, infinity. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I wonder if there's a little bit of extra depth to the story that we're kind of just like glossing all the way over because we have no idea, right? We just know what table salt is, and we just sprinkle it on food sometimes, and then sometimes we put it in the ice when it's cold outside. That's kind of all we don't have a lot
Right.
of use case for it or value in today's world.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think part of what you're saying there, Jonathan, too, is there being more to it. I mean, I'm looking at Colossians 4:6, and this is Paul speaking. He says, "Let your speech be seasoned with salt." So, is there a possibility that he's echoing, the Leviticus procedures, and as far as every giving an offering with salt, but also every word that we speak as a believer, carrying that on in the covenant faithfulness. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So I think there's some echoes of that, within, you're seeing that from, I'm looking through scripture now. So you're seeing it in what we call the Torah. You're seeing it in the prophets. You're seeing it in the New Testament. You're seeing this word come up, and even Yahushua himself said, if salt has lost its saltiness, then what good is it? This isn't just about, we talked about this before also, where back then people would sell salt, but they would also take sand and mix it in with the salt, and it was hard to see the difference.
hmm
So they would sell it, usually to the lady of the house, and when she used it, she would realize, oh, this is either mixed, so it's good for nothing but to be thrown out.
right.
Hmm.
You can't use it for anything. So I think there's a lot of symbolism here when it comes to the salt for purity. They used it for when you went to the bathroom. They used it for gardening, for growing things. I mean, there's a whole host of things that salt was used for and still used for today.
hmm
But I will say this: the salt that you have, if you have Morton's or regular table salt, that's not good salt. It's not good salt at
Hmm.
all. Yeah.
So salt was used as you talked about the purity and all that kind of good
hmm
stuff. I'm just going to read what the old Googs has to say about it. So salt was used as a preservative
Yep.
against decay,
Yep.
which is an interesting thing, right? So
Yeah.
saving meats for long periods of time, that sort of thing. Representing the incorruptibility and sincerity of the offering. It represents the perpetual, everlasting covenant between God and Israel, meaning the people that also kept to their end of the covenant.
Mhm.
Yep.
Um, all right, and then just again, another Google statement here. It says Jesus references this imagery by calling believers to be the salt of the earth, Matthew 5:13, implying they should preserve and influence the world for good. I think that's a very simplistic way of putting it, but generally speaking, agree with that.
Yeah, you should go be good and stuff and
Yeah,
whatnot.
good. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and think about, like, every landmass and every major landmass, what's it surrounded by? Water, and it's salt water. And I wonder too, like, like in Revelation where it talks about like the beast will come out of the sea, and there's and like a third of the water will become bitter. I wonder if it's like, if there's just a lot more of something to do with salt and all of that. Because I mean, what happens if you overly salt water? It is impossible, right? It'll tear you up.
Yeah.
So you can't
Try
drink
making
it.
sweet tea with it, thinking it was sugar and it was
Yeah,
salt. I shared that story before.
it's
That's a
tough
wake
city.
you up quick. That's better than black coffee. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's like,
Right.
what just happened?
But yeah, I also wonder too, like with when we look at some of the processes that salt, it's like it's the easiest mind acquired mineral, like, period, other than just like going and getting a scoop of dirt in your hand, getting salt. Like right now, they've got people that go to the Dead Sea and just kind of like scoop, and they just have like a handful of salt. Now I'm sure you don't want to eat that specifically, but um salt is something that you can make almost with zero effort. You just take some seawater and set it on a plate and let it dehydrate, and there's salt. You know what I mean? So I wonder if there's even more to the salt, because I mean, this is like even salt in the air when you live next to the beach. Like,
Hmm.
you got to be worried because it'll corrode your metal and
Yeah.
ruin your stuff because there's salt in the air. So it just makes you wonder even more, like, how much are we involved and surrounded by it.
So check this out.
I'm checking.
So I know we were referring to salt as a mineral. However, um, salt is loaded with many minerals.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see. Beyond sodium chloride, including magnesium, potassium, calcium, iron, also trace minerals and elements and stuff, yada, 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 yada. Providing essential, um, improve flavor, support hydration, and provide essential nutrients. Magnesium, well, I'll get into this in a second. Potassium, calcium, iron, zinc, manganese, copper, and iodine, right? So I just want to
Hmm.
throw that out because those are just a few, right? But all of those things I just listed, and I already kind of knew this to be true, but I wanted to make sure I had a complete list here, or a good list here. So I said, what minerals are most people deficient in? Most people are commonly deficient in essential minerals like potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, and zinc. Where can we get that? Real salt.
Mm.
Yep. The most prevalent deficiencies include potassium, nearly 97 to 100% of the people, magnesium, well over 50%, calcium, up to 88% in some groups, and iron, especially in women and children.
But Kyle, all my food says it's enriched. What's the problem?
I know, right? And all the doctors tell you not to eat so much salt.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, kind of funny how this Bible thing keeps being true over and over again, huh?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Also makes you wonder, why are they called minerals and not women-erals? Just questions that I have.
So I was looking up
There's just
which salts are have the most minerals in them. So the Celtic sea salt, which I do like, I have 2 bags of that here at the house.
you do the gray.
I guess it's gray. I don't know. Is that a thing?
That
Salt's
is a
gray.
thing.
I didn't know that.
That is a
I never really paid attention to it. I mean, it's not like white in the bag like regular, table salt is.
I don't know what other version they have, but I know that they have a gray version, and supposedly that was a really good one of the
Well,
Celtic.
apparently that's what it says here. It says known for its gray color and high mineral, low sodium profile compared to table salt. Then you have gold sea salt, Baja. Am I saying that right?
Baja
Baja,
Gold.
Baja. There
Baja
we go.
Gold. Baja
I know that
Gold.
that J always gets you, boy. Hey, don't laugh at me. Yeah, that's all right. At least I can say jalapeno, not jalapenos.
But Joe, you
Alright.
order this at Taco Bell all the time. What is the blue
No,
soda
yeah,
that
I
you
know,
get?
I know. Hey, I'm tired, man.
Baja.
Baja. All right, so Baja Gold sea salt, which I've never heard of.
To my understanding, that is like the best.
Is it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
because
that's
it
like
says
the
it's marine
consensus.
based. Like it has a marine based electrolytes in it.
Water based?
Then I've never heard of this one before. Bamboo salt.
I ain't never heard of that.
Mm.
It says a unique nutrient dense option that can contain over 70 different minerals. I've never heard of bamboo salt. Now,
Me
we've all
neither.
heard of the Himalayan pink salt, which contains iron, which gives its color. I don't know. Hadn't you guys heard it? That's maybe not the best one
Well,
because of where it's sourced from.
I know I've heard. Well, I've heard that it can have traces of lead, I believe.
Was
Yeah,
it lead?
they said heavy metals due to the manufacturing and processing in overseas Asian environments that have lower quality and standards for their
Yeah.
consumption items.
And then there's the possibility of it being nephilim. So
Yeah, other than that,
Yeah, no, we covered that one and it was some visuals.
yeah, instead of pork belly, it's a little Nephilim belly.
So,
Yeah.
so I know salt. One of the obviously you can mine salt, but you can also distill salt water and
Right.
and and you can get salt that way, right?
Mhm.
So that's kind of we've got the Dead Sea. They say it's dead, but it's the Dead Sea because nothing's living there, right? Even though life is returning back to it. There are some versions of scripture that call that the Sodomitish Sea, the Sodomite Sea. They don't call it the Dead Sea. If I'm not mistaken, it's either Second Baruch or Second Esdras that calls it the Sodomitish Sea.
Mm.
I think it's Baruch. So there's that. Kind of makes you wonder, why is the ocean so salty? Maybe because about 4,000 years ago we had so many things die all at one time.
Mm.
Yeah,
Could be. I mean, we don't really hear any references of it being like not.
was it salty before that, or was it
That's what I'm
all
saying. Like, we don't have any reference of whether it was up or down. Just we know what it is today.
I kind of lean towards the idea that it was all fresh water at one time.
Part of the aftermath. Little rainstorm, knocked everything into the water, and then it's how it cleans itself.
But I don't know. I mean, there'd have to be some adaptation from the creatures there, or new creations made, or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe there was salt water beforehand, and that just expanded.
Yeah. Well, there's this cool thing called underwater aquifers and springs. So
That's true.
just like open up and then just turn not salty.
Mm-hmm.
Or just like a river from down the road, like a new estuary shows up and now it's flowing in and more fresh, less salt.
I don't know. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Joe, you look like you cooking over there, bro.
Yeah, well, I was looking at what you're talking about. It says the Dead Sea is called the Sea of Sodom because of its direct geographical and biblical connection to the ancient cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, which were destroyed in the plain that borders the sea. Then further down, it talks about ancient Sodom was located in the Jordan Rift Valley near the southern basin of the Dead Sea. Because of this, later writers referred to the Dead Sea as the Sea of Sodom, the Sodomitish Sea, the Asphalt Sea, and the Salt Sea. So anyway,
Hmm.
that's some different names for it. Yeah, I don't see anything else is really that important here. Uh,
Old
yeah,
life, old Lot's wife still couldn't get a name mentioned in there, could she?
no, yeah. So
She was a pillar in our community.
Mm-hmm.
now I will say this, from what I understand about the sea, we're talking about the sea a lot, like the regular ocean, is that the ocean, because of the way it's the concentration of salt that's in the water, the sea is constantly purifying itself. So, I know that, and I know a lot of people have moved on past this thinking that, oil is from dead dinosaurs, or at least I hope you have. Because there's actually scientific proof that the earth is actually regenerates oil all the time. So this isn't
Mm-hmm.
like they can't use it on you anymore. Well, the wells are running dry, so we're going to jack the prices up and everything. No, oil is actually whatever that procedure in the earth is, it actually regenerates itself. And so what they found out is that there's oil that leaks into the sea all the time, into the ocean. And so they've done explorations where they went down and you can literally see the oil like in cracks at the bottom and oil's coming straight out of it. And so, like, back in, I think it was the 80s when you had like the ship, there must have been, I think there was a couple of ships or one in particular, I can't remember the name of it, that crashed in Alaska or something like that and spilled all of its oil and all the ducks and penguins and everything's covered in oil. And everybody's saying, oh, it's going to take hundreds of years for all this to go away. And it was within a few years, it was like nothing ever happened
Right.
because the sea has a way of regenerating and cleansing and getting away. And even to the point of nuclear waste.
Mm-hmm.
It has a way of dissipating that and clean. And again, what happened? Where was that in Japan?
Fukushima.
There you go. I wasn't going to say that because I'd say it wrong, but even that we're talking about how all that was going into the ocean, how everything will start mutating. Well, give it years after that, and everything returns back to normal because the sea has a way of regenerating itself and that salt cleanses things like that. It gets into the water, so
Mm.
it's a lot more going on in the ocean than what we think.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Like, people have talked about the whole oil thing. I know we're not trying to switch, subjects, but like with the Earth like being full of oil and like making it or keeping it available, kind of makes you wonder. Is like the Earth just one big giant living mechanism, organism, where
Hmm.
like we know that there's plates and or something that's like moving and shifting. We that's why you get earthquakes and weird stuff and mountains that come rising up. It's the crust mantle something that comes up uh, based on whatever your what our understanding is on all that stuff. But if you would need oil to kind of keep things moving and grooving like a car, right? So the Earth just kind of essentially has like a giant rear main seal leak, and that's why we kind
It's
of keep
it's it's
getting
it's a Chevy.
Yeah.
just a little
Yeah,
drip drip. That's all.
yeah, I know because my 2016 has the classic. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
leak. Yeah,
that was the reference was for you. But
yeah.
so it just kind of makes you wonder.
You
And then
drive a
some
Chevy
people,
too, boy.
I do. You're right. It makes you wonder, like when you like I've even heard of like some theories of like they were saying like the moon being responsible for the tides and how that they were like yeah maybe, but then like it doesn't work everywhere the same. Like the same science can't be applied universally. Like
Right.
it's been proven like not 100% accurate based on the numbers and the equations and whatever. So then they were saying like one of the ideas or theories is the Earth is breathing, and I know it sounds
Yeah,
crazy as all get out, but like the ground is like kind of coming up and then kind of coming down and kind of coming so expanding and contracting. So then where would the water, if the Earth goes up, the water went down, and the Earth goes down, the water comes back up. So that would explain your tides, at least in some sense or form. So oil would be kind of cool, to help everything from making like the old man knees sound, just kind of keep things moving smooth and grooving and all that. And then we were talking about the Dead Sea. Well, we also have like other seas like that all over the world. We don't really, the Dead Sea is just popular because it's in Israel, right? So everything in Israel is like the most popular in the world. But in the U.S. we got Salt Lake City, which is a giant salt lake over there. We got the Salt Flats. We got
Hmm.
like somewhere in South America, there's Bolivia. We got like all these salt basins and like salt water stuff everywhere. So it's not a uncommon occurrence, and it's not actually strange to have a concentration of salt somewhere on land or in the freshwater areas. So it makes it very unique that there's like just this salt that doesn't go away, right? That's just like super prevalent everywhere, whether you're in the mountains, whether you're on the beach, whether you're in the middle of the plains, like somehow there's just like salt everywhere. Um, and then I was thinking about it, like, the salt back then was, salt covenant sounds like nice, good stuff. And today salt's like, state and local taxes. I'm like, I'd much rather those that salt back then than the salt today. But it does, on a serious note, I do wonder, like, with the salt part of that covenant, like how many other covenants do we have that are like non people or event specific? Like, we have like the covenant with Abraham, the covenant with Adam, Noah, David. You have all these covenants that are event or people specific, and then this one's just like salt covenant of thing that's prevalent across the entire world all the time. Just it's just something that made me think.
Well, isn't that true with the bow in the sky as well? With the
Yeah, but it
rainbow?
was based on Noah and then in the flood event.
That's where yeah, that's where it originated, sure.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like all the other covenants either started from like a person or an event, whereas salt was
I
just
got
like
you.
it, based on just the naturally occurring thing on the earth. There's not like a water covenant or an air covenant. It's just salt.
Well, is it not a covenant with creation?
That makes me wonder. Like what's the bigger story here of like, I mean, because essentially that covenant started day one then, or when day two, one of those days. It's the first thing in existence almost is salt and water.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, those everything we listed earlier in the salt, the trace minerals is what is our makeup,
And
literally.
it's what feeds our plants,
So
our
we evolved from
animals,
salt.
us. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what?
Don't get that story started.
Dude, the evolutionists should go nuts with that one because at least they'd have a little bit of a fighting argument with that one, you
Yeah,
know?
Right.
there was a mama salt and a daddy salt, and they got together.
Just it was sodium and then chloride. Things
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah, next thing you know, here comes you. So
Boom, clump of cells.
There we go.
yeah,
That's all it takes.
I think Emeril Lagasse was there when we were all being made. He's like, "Bam!"
Emerald. Come on, bro. That's Salt Bay.
That's it, baby.
But
They both
Emerald
they
does
both
do the
work.
bam. They do the bam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it says
do the
God
bam.
spoke it, so bam, he had
Yeah.
to use words. So
Ah,
Oh,
there's your big bang. All right,
big bam.
big
big
bam. Yeah.
bam.
Oh, that hurt.
That's a guy from the state next to you, from Big Bam.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. This is definitely a really cool subject, man. I'd like to hear what some of the folks down in the comments would have to say about
Absolutely.
this. I bet there's been some really cool studies done on this out there. If y'all have any resources on that, please let us know down in the
Yeah.
comments. That'd be really cool to look into.
Well, something else too, Kyle, that says here. I was looking up some stuff. It says that salt. I didn't really know if I ever, or maybe I just didn't remember, but it says salt never decays. Like
Mm.
actual salt never decays.
Hmm.
That's something there. Yeah.
So it can lose its saltiness, which I guess is a reference to like its flavor or ability. Is that just flavor, or
I
is
don't
that just
know.
its ability to is that its ability to preserve? Like
I'm
how can
gonna
salt lose its saltiness? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna look that up.
That's an interesting line of thought.
Well,
I did want to say
on
one thing though on what you said earlier, Jonathan, because we're going to get further and further away from this topic. I personally think that under all of our feet is been talking to the baby too much. Feet. I personally feel like there's oil everywhere.
there's a
It's
slab
just,
under my feet, but
it's just a matter of how deep you got to go to reach it. And I think
Mm,
it's more accessible in certain places than it is others. But that's my personal opinion. I think it's everywhere.
I
All
can
right.
dig it.
So oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
Yeah,
I can
here's the
dig it.
thing. So this is what I thought. It says so salt cannot chemically lose its saltiness. So when
Hmm.
Yahusha says if the salt loses its savor, he is not talking about chemistry. He's talking about covenant identity, mixture, and corruption.
Ooh, that's good.
Okay. Off
Mm.
the top rope.
So yeah, man. So that's what I was thinking. It's like I'm pretty sure I've heard that before. That salt cannot lose, like the actual salt cannot do that. But it's yeah, that's hit you right between the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not in the eyes. That would burn.
It
Right.
says in Israel most salts came from the Dead Sea, salt marshes, salt pits, evaporated pools. It says this salt was not pure; it was a mixture of salt, gypsum, minerals, sand, and dirt.
Hmm.
It says that the actual salt leached out through rain, moisture, or humidity. What remained was white powder that looked like salt but had no saltiness and was useless.
Mm.
This is exactly what Yahusha is describing. It looked like salt, it was called salt, but it had no covenant power.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's some good imagery there. Give you a
yeah.
little.
Doing a little mixing in with the world, being watered down,
Mm-hmm.
Well,
maybe a
it goes
little
back to that.
lukewarm.
That's, yeah, scripture where it's talking about, hey, didn't I do all these things in your name? He's like, yeah, but I don't even know who you are. That's
All
bad.
right.
Wow. Mm.
All right. So I got another question.
Yeah. Sorry, I
Well,
interrupted you earlier.
no, you're good. So the oftentimes the covenants or the language that we're getting in the earthly perspective is a copy or type or shadow of something in the heavenly realm.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any connection of salt back up to in the spiritual, like spiritual connection? Like, oftentimes we can see things like on earth on earth as it is in heaven kind of thing. But what's the as in heaven part with the salt? Just sitting here been bugging me.
Hmm.
Like if
That's a
you're
deep
salting the
question.
bread, it's like, well, if the show bread was just a copy of bread from heaven or the manna, as it probably would be called.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things there, and I'm not an expert on this, but even with the manna, was not necessarily was bread. It was made into a bread, the material of the manna.
Mhm.
One. Number two is the way that, if we're given new glorified bodies and all this stuff, and I don't know if that includes it being any composition of salt at all. It could very well be.
Yeah, it says we're gonna
But
be blood, spirit, and water.
yeah,
So maybe the water is salt water.
could be. Yeah. I mean, we don't
It
know
said
for
the
sure.
sea will give up its dead.
But
Maybe
I
it's
will
like,
say that us being made from this part of heaven that we live in, this realm that we live in, being made from the minerals, that's something that's very important for us, which I can understand. The Father, think about this: the reason why a little bit off the little sidetrack. One of the number one reasons why we are so sick as a society is because we lack minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you will not hear typically from your doctors or anybody else about minerals, or hey, you getting your day, pinch of salt a day in your water, whatever. Do something to get your minerals in. But we truly are in a mineral deficiency, which leads to you being sick. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying it's as simple as this. Anybody who's listening to this, if you have animals, you live on the farm and you have cows, and I've heard a story 1,000 times where my cows were not doing good. They were looking, just they weren't eating. They just want, they were just kind of their health is declining. Literally, the vet comes out there and goes, "Oh, they need minerals." They literally throw salt blocks out there in the herd.
Yep.
They start eating the salt blocks, and within weeks, everybody's back to normal.
Yep.
I'm like, but we're no different than them. We all have the same minerals
Mm-hmm.
that keeps us alive. Now, I'm not saying we go out and buy a bunch of salt blocks and put them on the kitchen table and everybody have at it. Though I can see my grandkids doing that,
Tongue's
but
all raw.
yeah,
Right.
yes.
Dude, have you ever my dad used to put salt blocks out for deer when I was younger. Have you ever licked a salt block?
No, sir.
Man,
I
it
do.
will turn your face backwards and inside out at the same time.
Hmm.
Lord have mercy.
But they
Woo!
but the animals love it.
Oh yeah.
They
Oh yeah.
love it. I mean, unfortunately, guys will put out salt blocks for the deer because it draws them in, and they can kind of like pew
We
Yeah,
did
things
it.
happen.
We did it for the squirrels.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. We did not bait any deers. Matter of fact, we posted a sign saying that these salt blocks are for the squirrels. Any deer caught eating it will be shot on sight.
The unfortunate side effect. Oh, shucks.
Too funny.
So to kind of follow up with that question about like like that connection of salt back to heaven. So I had two thoughts. First one's kind of just whatever, but like so when we talked about Sodom and Gomorrah and the lake and the Dead Sea and yada yada, right?
Hmm.
Well, when Lot's wife turns around, she gets turned into a pillar of salt.
Hmm.
Very interesting, right? Generally, salt's used as like a good, positive covenant, like Joe said earlier, like the connection back to like your holiness, your set apartness, or whatever. And you're like, here's somebody who didn't listen, who did a bad job. To maybe made an example, also salt. What's going on there? But um, I was reading this little excerpt, and it said the human body contains many salts, of which sodium chloride, aka common table salt, is the major one, making up around 0.4% of the body's weight in concentration, pretty well equivalent to that in seawater. So humans are made with the same amount of salt as seawater. Find that to be very interesting.
Hmm.
And then, Joe kind of said something that you got the juices flowing where it's like we were made from the dirt, which is minerals.
Hmm.
What if what if we literally just like made of salt? You know what I mean? It was like dirt is like another, an unsalted, undersalted material be called dirt, right?
Well, it says we were formed from the earth, and we are to be the salt of the earth.
Yep.
Like the
Hmm.
smaller set apart, not non the zesty part of the earth.
Okay. Now I'm questioning. I'm questioning the actual substance that was used for the creation. Also, does it literally say dirt? Does it literally say clay?
Well,
Or
it says
does it? Or
he was made from the eretz, the earth,
Mhm.
which can imply anything. Doesn't mean it was like
right,
It just means
dirt
the
from the
dry part.
yard.
right.
The compost pile. That's where they made Adam from, right over there. It's like
Yeah, the Haaretz was just whatever
it,
wasn't wet.
yeah, it just means from the ingredients or the elements of the earth. Yeah, so
Huh. Okay. So it's possible then that yes, salt is what we were made from.
And I mean, there's so many connections back to it. And then again, like if seawater is the same saltiness as humans right now, and we're supposed to be made of spirit and water at resurrection, you're like, and then
well, how?
wait, hold on, sorry, I'm cooking.
Yeah,
So you
go ahead,
got
you go.
you got water on the ground, right? You got the earth water, then you got the
Mhm.
waters above, and then angels and Yeshua apparently, and the heavenly beings can go between the firmament, right, which is crystalline structure with water on both sides of it. So who's to say? And like Kyle's had this opinion, which I actually kind of like, where it's like there's like a pump on the ends of the firmament where it's like feeding and pumping water. Well, what's all the water on the earth that would be pumped? Salt
Salt water.
water.
Salt.
You know what I mean? It just makes you wonder. And then why are humans drawn to the beach? Why do you always want to go look at crystal clear salt water? It's like a
Yeah.
built-in like desire of like go back to the water.
If you
Why,
live in
why do you
Charleston,
feel better when you go to the beach, other than getting sunburn like crazy if you
Right.
do?
well, you're getting
Uh,
grounded for
but
one thing.
you're getting
Yeah.
grounded. You're
Yep.
the salt in the air, the
Hmm.
salt, the water surrounding.
And
All
the
of
salt's
that's very.
conductive, right? Isn't it salt water
Mhm.
is more conductive than regular water.
Yep.
So if there is electricity or ether or whatever, in the air, you're actually getting charged literally.
Yeah. So it can be both energizing and relaxing all at the same time. There's a lot to this.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot to this.
So
Yeah.
what is it when and during Noah's flood? What kind of water fell out of the sky? Was it salt water or fresh water?
I lean towards the idea of it being salt water only because I believe God was crying at what had happened on earth. Just kidding. I'm not. I'm just totally kidding about that. But
Well,
Probably
think
probably
about
salt
this:
water.
if it's used for purity, wouldn't he's literally purifying the entire earth,
Hmm.
and then all the bones that are found, with all the minerals, and then a lot of times they said, and of course, those bones would only petrify because of the conditions had to been perfect, where they literally had to been covered immediately,
Hmm.
yada yada. Anyway,
well, that's
yeah,
what a fossil is. Is a
yeah,
fossil is the reason why it becomes hard as stone is because the every living thing, um, everything that can become fossilized, every living thing, everything that can become fossilized is something that is porous, and it becomes porous because all of those tiny little microscopic holes get filled with minerals.
Yeah, deposits.
So yeah, it takes the right it takes water, pressure, you know, and minerals to fossilize something. That's pretty cool.
Are you in here something from the U.S. government?
Oh, it must be true then.
Yeah, it has to be true. It says that the human body is an average of 60% water.
It's a different kind of water too. The water
Right.
structure is different.
Though this varies from 50% to 75% depending on age, gender, and body composition, babies have the highest water content at about 78% at birth, dropping to 65% by age 1. Adult men average 60% water, while adult women, this is what I'm reading from their website, okay? Don't yell at me. While adult women average 55% water due to higher fat tissue.
Hmm.
What?
So,
The percentage went down?
yes. Because
Oh,
yeah, because I was looking through that too, because it said that where's it at?
So it's percentage based on what's there. It's not percentage like it's not saying that they're fatter. It's saying based on what's there, they have more
Well, technically it
higher.
is saying they're fatter, but I
that's what
didn't
it's
want to
saying.
say
Yeah.
it. It
Well, I
says
mean,
they have, because I'll explain it.
okay.
The gender difference.
Yeah, Kyle, we don't have
Because
parts.
women generally have
Exactly.
more because generally women have more fat than men, they have a slightly lower percentage of water, because lean muscle tissue contains much more water than fat tissue.
Mm,
So we usually carry, on average, we carry more muscle. Than That's really what it is we just have
mm.
more lean muscle mass.
Muscle
And so
mass, yeah.
that's why
Well, you know
we
what they
have more
say:
water.
fat's thicker than water. I mean, blood's thicker than water.
Dude, we could even take this subject off into, when Yeshua is pierced in the side, what poured out? It was blood and
Literally
Water.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
literal water, right?
Hmm.
Um, that's a very specific strike to make that happen, for there to be water coming out.
Hmm.
Um, very, very specific, first of all. And secondly, um, oh man, I've done some pretty weird studies over the years of water, the structure of water, just water in general, the the types of water that's out there, and there's more than a lot of people think. Um, the phases of water, the and how it interacts with light, how it interacts with sound,
Hmm.
just there's so much cool stuff with it, man. Like if we did the next 15 episodes about water, we still wouldn't cover the surface of it. But man, I don't know. It kind of makes you wonder what that looked like. What did that consist of? And was there something specific about the covenant that we're missing in that particular piece of what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And then with the flood and the creation and all that stuff, I mean, it literally makes the Father the first waterbender, right?
I was just on the phone with name drop a little bit here. Josh from Founded Earth Brothers. I was just on the phone with him the other day, and we were talking about light and the heavenly bodies and all kinds of crazy stuff. And then we got to talking about the firmament, um, and he was bringing up um, the the Exodus, and because we were discussing some end time stuff too, and that kind of got us off into the Moses situation where the Exodus and where the Red Sea was parted. And I was kind of given my understanding about the firmament and the kingdom coming down and all that kind of good stuff. And that's how we got off on that. The similarities that are there is just unreal. It is crazy how much depth there is to the depth to the and similarities there are between the two events, the one that has happened and the one that's gonna happen. So yeah.
Kyle, I got one more for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're talking about salt. I'm gonna keep it on salt for once.
All right.
Salt or salts can also form, get this, salts can also form crystal structures, which are repeating patterns of ions that create solid structure. For example,
Oh.
table salt forms cubic crystals, while Epsom salt forms needle like crystals. And then there's a whole bunch of different ones. So they literally make like little cubes. I find that to be interesting that one, when salt is like super pure, it's clear, crystalline, and can be made into the shape of cubes.
So very possibly the firmament could be made of salt.
Interesting, huh?
The purest salt out there.
Right. And then it kind of makes you wonder, they're like, oh, what's the cleanest water? They're like, oh, it's because of evaporation. What if it's like the ion, because like salt is ionizing naturally, right? And purifying.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's where we get lightning and static and clouds and clean water. It just, just
Well,
talking. And
think
then, and
about
then
this: the how clean or how clean the air is after a good thunderstorm,
After a
how
good
fresh it
thunderstorm, yeah.
is,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then, of course, only a few days later they'll be back there painting the sky again. But that's the good thing
Right.
about a severe thunderstorm is it usually cleanses all
Mhm.
that junk that's up there floating above us
Yeah,
as
so
well.
solid, crystalline. I don't know where I've heard those words before, but it's interesting.
I don't know. Very interesting.
Man, that's really cool. You
You know.
know. I'd really like to see how light is affected through a salt crystalline structure,
Mm.
especially if there's water involved. Also, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we got some experiments we could do with some of this stuff. If we could make that happen, that'd be really cool.
I'm gonna get in my contact with SpaceX and NASA and see what we can do.
Yeah, there you go. Just call old Elon up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm blinking a lot, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Help.
Hey, I want to just follow up with something you said earlier, Kyle. You were asking a question about the water that came out of the Messiah's side when he was pierced.
Well, hey, but when you do that, when you get done with that, you said there was one of y'all said there was different types of salts. Maybe it was you, Jonathan, but I didn't think I ever heard you mention the different types of salts.
Yeah, he did. The Baja and
Yeah.
all that.
The Baja, remember? The Baja. Which is
Well,
sad
that's
because I actually have a 0 Baja right here.
I,
Hey, look, man, it happens to the best of us, all right?
well,
He said,
I
the J
I'm
threw me.
tired, man.
I
You know
didn't
when
know
you look at a word, it ain't
Yeah.
wording in your brain. You're like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
what is this? Okay.
I thought you were talking about like different types, as in like different structural makeups, and they're called something different or whatever. I don't know. Okay, all right. So not just location and mineral content, but others. Okay, never mind.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, through our conversation, it's made me even think more about how much salt is in in and a part of everything of life.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Hmm.
If what Jonathan's referring to, the crystalline, the clear salt above us, the firmament, stuff like that, that would make sense because it's all pure. Anything outside of our realm going into the heavenly realm is going to have to be pure. There can't be anything impure going that way. So it's like the Father's, and then, I mean, along with everything else, I mean, I think there's a lot more to this. Like you said, from the storms, the lightning, the ionosphere, all this stuff that's going on, the cleansing it's like he has it built into the
Right.
system, literally.
Right.
And man has done everything he can to destroy the world we live in right now. And
Yep.
God's like, man, I made this thing to literally self clean. From the animals you're not supposed to eat, to the sky, to the salt in
Sure.
the water,
Yeah.
everything literally I've made for it to repair and cleanse itself. And you're just doing everything you can to destroy it. So we're eating all the things that are made as filters. We're dumping all kinds of toxins into the oceans. Then,
Spraying
at some point,
skies.
we're spraying poisons up in the air, and it's like, so thank Abba that he at least did put that into the system, so that it's not, because if that didn't exist, we'd already be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face
Yeah.
it, we would
Yeah.
be gone.
And think about this, right? We talk about salt all the time and like all its random uses. You seen these, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
You know
The
what I mean?
lamp.
Like, why is this even a thing? Like a salt lamp? If it's there's clearly something of like warmed up. It's like good for releasing ions or something, and all kind of weird properties. We're like, it's just a hunk of salt, right? And they're like, no, dude, it's good for you for some reason. I got it for like super crazy on sale, and I'm not weird, but you know, some people are like the salt, man, the crystals, dude. It's the crystals.
Isn't it crazy how people will attribute the healing benefits of something that God created to being the thing that holds power? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
this
I
is
know.
so dumb to me. This rock right here can heal you, bro. No, 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 it can't. No, no, it can't.
Well, if you take it out during the full moon, you can recharge it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
sure, why not?
I'm sorry, Joe. We got off on a tangent. Go ahead,
No,
brother.
it's good. It's all good. No. So anyway, I just wanted to follow up on that, what you were saying, because it uses a couple of different medical terms in here, and I'm probably going to say them wrong, but
Absolutely.
one of them was severe physical trauma. Of course, that was taking place. So they call it pleural effusion. That was not too hard to say, which is fluid buildup around the lungs, and the other one is cardal. Probably not saying that right. Anyway, infusion, which is fluid around the heart. So you had fluid around the heart and the lungs, caused by intense hours of long agony and shock. So it says extreme blood loss from scourging and crucifixion caused rapid heart rate and fluid built up in chest cavities. Intense physical strain likely caused the heart to fail, leading to the blood separating into red cells and plasma. Then it says the physical evidence of his death. The spear pierced likely his right side, penetrating lungs and heart, allowed this accumulated fluid and blood to release, confirming his that he was already dead. So
Mm.
yeah,
Wow. I do remember about that now, about the the stress and all that on the body as to what caused that.
so yeah.
Mm.
I mean, it's yeah, another time, another subject. But yeah, there's so much more, and I've said this and I'll say it a million times. There's so much more to that event, then it gets oversimplified to the point where it's like, oh yeah, he died on the cross 3 days later, yada yada, and we're all saved. It's like, dude, there's way more going on with this than
Right?
than
Mhm.
than what we're anyway. We've talked about the garden, we've talked about, and in my sermons I've talked about some different things with that, but I think it's important that people realize how important even this discussion about salt is, and that we take it for granted because we have it literally. I'm sure every household has one form of salt in it or another, but we never really think about it.
Mhm.
It's not one of those things where we don't. To us, I don't think we can actually grasp the importance of salt back then to the point where it was exchanged for money.
Right.
Today, like, oh, let's go to the store, go on Amazon, go, buy. That's where mine came from. I got 2 bags of Celtic sea salt right now that Amazon delivered for me. Don't think twice about it. But then you think about the salt covenant, the salt in the air, the salt of the earth. Even in Mark 9:50 says of have salt in yourselves. So this discussion of salt, when you're asking about what's the main things, going the foods and all, and those might be the most mentioned, but I would tell you this, that part of, I think the salt part of this, even if it's not mentioned as much, is one of the most important things for us to understand. This wasn't just them seasoning the beef or the grain offering or whatever. There's a lot more to this than just for flavoring. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, I encourage everyone to read your Bible and do some digging yourself. And see what you come up with.
Yeah, and the biggest part of that to me is it's a covenant of salt. It's not a suggestion or a temporary
Right.
situation or well, that's for them back then and not for us now. God says, I made a covenant with you. And he says, this is a covenant of salt. And so whatever the salt is, maybe we do or don't understand. He's like, regardless, it's a covenant he made with us. And he doesn't break his covenants, and covenants cannot be broken by the Father. They can only be broken by silly humans. So,
Yep.
like Joe said, it's our job to know it and understand it and to be a part of it. And thank goodness for the covenants of old, and thank goodness for the covenant still coming. He said, My son is coming back. That's a guarantee. It will happen. And so, when God tells us there's a covenant, it's kind of a big deal. And it's something that we need to like remember
Right.
and kind of, take home and like really put some stock into that. And it's value to us. It's a promise from the Father to us. And then one of
Hmm.
them is a covenant of salt.
Amen.
I really think we ought to dig into this a lot more, because if this is one of those forever covenants, it's not one of those new or renewed, it's just a forever kind of thing, period. I think that definitely deserves a little bit more time for us to study on. So let's
I'll
look
tell
into
you,
that.
I'll tell you another cool subject we get into along with that is when it's telling us not to eat the fat of the offering.
Mm,
What fat is it referring to?
mm,
So anyway, that's
okay.
another good one to look into as far as the
All right.
fats and the animal and all that stuff. So
Look into
All
the
right.
fats.
So moral look into the facts. So moral of the story is be salt, but don't be salty, right?
There it is.
there you go.